Hey, shalom to the hopeful elect. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushua Ba'Shem, Rakak, Wadash, double honor to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Salute to the sincere Akim out there of the hopeful elect. All right? Yeah, man, 2025 is pretty much over with. A few hours waning, and 2026 will be brought in. All right? And we're supposed to remain in that spirit of prophecy, because like Apostle Tahar says, and like we supposed to hasten the day. All right, but yeah, we could definitely see that these prophecies, they certainly about to come. If it don't happen in 2026, it could very well be 2027, 2028. But it definitely ain't gonna be no long stretch, man. We don't have another decade left in America. I doubt we have half a decade left in this country, man. All right, so this society is coming to an absolute end. And there's a few prophecies left, mainly the MOTB, all right, which is the mark of the beast, spoken of in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, in which a lot of Israelite groups fail, they fall short on bringing those prophecies out. They fall short on prophesying in general. A lot of Israelite groups don't even talk about the destruction of America anymore like that. With all of these global tensions going around, all right, that involves America, how can you not prophesy the fact that America is going to be destroyed via thermonuclear missiles? All right, especially if you call yourself a servant of Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai. But most of you guys are just servants of Most High in Christ, so it all makes sense. Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, man. Okay, and I searched something up on Google, just a simple Google search. All right, I'm gonna show you on the iPad. I put are more people getting the RFID chip? All right, it's just a quick simple Google search, and and I'm gonna read a little bit of it. All right, because the RFID chip, which stands for radio frequency ID, all right, is the mark of the beast, and that's what we've been pushing at Great Millstone for a long time, and now it's becoming more and more controversial around these different Hebrew Israelite groups on whether the RFID microchip is the mark of the beast or not. Because you got guys that want to, they want to play around with it, man. They don't want to be straight up. They don't want to answer the question straight up. Yes, it is the mark of the beast. The RFID chip is the mark of the beast. They don't want to say it flat out. They want to allude to it a little bit, and then a lot of guys want to deny that it is. All right, but here at Great Millstone, man, I mean, we starting with Apostle Tahar, because they the first ones, right? The apostles of GMS, they the first ones that I've ever heard break it down in its totality. All right, the RFID chip being the mark of the beast. All right, and the crazy thing about a lot of these Hebrew Israelite groups out there, the ones, especially the ones that's not teaching it, they referring to it as Christianity and embargo, all right, and whatever other madness they coming up with to denying the fact that the RFID chip is the mark of the beast. Okay, damn, I kind of lost my train of thought. All right, but the whole point is, them guys, they're clearly not prophets. All right, and the Lord ain't dealing with them on the level of prophecy. Okay, you got guys, they want to do their debates. They want to teach people how to be, wholesome Israelites, family orientated Israelites. You can go to the white man and take up therapy for shit like that, to be more worldly. All right, but the Lord is dealing with his prophets, man. Okay, that's who the Lord is dealing with. His spirit is in tune with his servants, the prophets. All right, that's who he reveals his secrets to. All right, it tells you that in Amos, the 3rd chapter, in the 7th verse. Okay, but the question that I asked Google: are more people getting RFID chips? And the overview answer to that is yes. The number of people getting RFID microchip implants is growing, especially within the biohacking community and tech-savvy groups, driven by convenience for payments, access, and data sharing. Though estimates vary widely from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands globally. All right, I'm pretty sure it's well off in the millions now. You know, possibly even a billion people. You know, that's just my estimate. All right. And when they do mandate it, all right, it's gonna sweep the world by storm, man. Okay, it's gonna sweep the world by storm because, you know, when this chip is really implemented, in which, you know, that can happen in 2026. Okay, a lot of people are gonna be forced. They're gonna be put in such a tight situation. You know, the government is gonna put the squeeze on people to make them take that chip. Same thing that they did with the jab, you know, during COVID-19. Okay, but it reads on saying, with Sweden being a hotspot for adoption despite ongoing safety and privacy debates. All right, so this thing is real. It got a couple of little key notes in bullet points in here. All right, it says why people get them. Convenience. Replaces keys, credit cards, and ID cards for various functions. And notes come from the medical futurist and BBC. It's another bullet point is streamlined life. Allows for seamless digital interactions in a hyper-connected world, according to NPR. All right. So the convenience of having a chip is one of the main reasons why a lot of people are gonna wind up getting this chip, the mark of the beast. All right. It says it replaces keys, credit cards, and ID cards for various functions. Okay. Just like what it describes in Revelation, the 13th chapter, in the 16th verse on down. Okay, how it's basically going to replace money. You know, the global fiat currency. All right. You know, and that's why we're heading into a more digital technological world. Okay, where people don't even spend cash like that anymore, man. You remember well, I mean, like, it was a long time ago, you know, but everybody was all about trying to get money, all about the Benjamins, right? Like P. Diddy had his song back in the days, you know, but you used to see in Hollywood people, depictions of bank robberies and, you know, and scams and such, with people getting big boatloads, big wads of money in cash, you know. But you know, that's a rarity now, man. You know, one of the latest things, which is mostly a lot of prop money, that you see a lot of these rappers portraying themselves as being, you know, the superstar, rock star life, holding big wads of cash and making it rain in the strip clubs and all of that kind of shit. Okay, all of that stuff is getting played out, man. So, you know, just holding a big wad of money, of cash money, is not really, it doesn't necessarily prove your financial status anymore like that, especially in the hood. Because even regular jakes in the hood are just, you know, everybody's going digital. You know, either they're paying with their Apple phones, their smartphones, or they're paying with credit and debit cards. All right. Now, I'm a blue collar worker, you know, in the construction field, and when you get down with these construction companies, man, everything now, they require you pretty much, of course, to have a bank account. Okay, so they make you fill out, you know, the direct deposit form so you can receive your pay. You know, so a lot of companies are not even issuing paychecks anymore, man. You know, they're not even issuing paychecks anymore. So everything is direct deposit, you know, and spending money with your debit card, or some digital form of getting paid and making transactions. Okay, in the capstone of the pyramid, right, of the New World Order, is for everybody to get this chip, this RFID microchip. You know, that's the top form of payment, the top form of identification. Okay, and the top form of access to anything that the world so-called has to offer for your benefits and your convenience. All right. It says one of the key trends and facts: growing adoption. While still a niche technology, tens of thousands globally have chosen implants, with some estimates ranging up to 250,000. all right, in which we know, the number is much higher than that now. I mean, there's a video with a woman claiming she has 47 microchips, okay? And the RFID microchip technologies is becoming, it's becoming, I'm not gonna say old or outdated, but people have been getting these chips for a long time now, man. You know, Great Millstone, we came on the scene in 2007 as far as the World Wide Web, right? Putting videos on YouTube, okay? And we've been pushing it since then, that the RFID microchip is the mark of the beast, all right? So, that's some 19, damn near 20 years ago, man, okay? So I'm not saying the technology is outdated, it's still growing, but you can imagine going back from 20 years ago to how many people would actually have the chip right now. And this is all voluntarily, okay? All right. It says another bullet point. It says popularity in Sweden. Sweden leads in adoption with chip implants used for transit, gym access, and even payments, reflecting a tech optimistic culture. All right, another bullet point, biohacking movement. Implants are popular among biohackers who modify their bodies for self-improvement, right? For self-improvement, because one of the things, with this biohacking, with this RFID chip, is transhumanism, okay? It's a form of fusing technology with biology, okay? That's what this chip is about. So, this is supposed to be a body enhancement, because there's certain miracles involved with this RFID microchip, okay? Because you have the brain implant, the brain chip, for instance, all right? Which that's part of the biohacking movement, which is supposed to be able to perform some of the miracles that Yahweh Shah has recorded performing in the Gospels. All right, as far as giving sight to the blind, making people who are paraplegic able to walk again. Okay, so there's body improvements even involved with this RFID chip. Okay, it says using chips for unlocking doors, logging into computers, and contactless payments. Okay, so it's all about being connected, man. And if you don't have this chip, then you're not going to be connected. All right, so without further ado, I'm gonna bring out Revelation, the 13th chapter, in this video with the scripture going into the microchip, and that's how the new year will be ushered in, with more prophecies coming to pass, and like I said, this might be 2026 might be the year where they really mandate this chip, man, really get things kicked off, man, and going. All right, so Revelations 13, verse 16, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right, and we know that mark is the Greek word karagma, all right, which means an incision. Okay, all right, and what they plan on doing, of course, is they plan on injecting a chip right under the skin of your in your hand. Okay. Right under the skin in your hand, whether your right hand, your left hand, okay? But there's YouTube videos of people getting the chip implanted in them, okay? By people who are unprofessionals and as well as professionals, okay? All right, it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, so that no man might buy or sell, okay? Meaning, like what is said in a lot of the key points and bullets in this question that I asked Google, are more people getting RFID chips? All right, they say, and it says it's getting more popular, and it's a growing adoption because this is the new way that people are being connected. They're logging on their computers. They're doing transactions. All right, through this chip, okay? Because like I said, paper money, fiat currency is getting played out, man. Is literally getting played out, okay? It says, here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast. And the beast represents the whole system, the so-called white man system, mainly headed by the West, right? What they call the Western nations, which is basically NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organizations, and the countries, or companies rather, all right, that are allied together, all right. It says, for it is the number of a man, showing you that the devil is a man. The devil is literally a man, okay, all right. He's not some spook hanging down in the depths of earth, boiling and tormenting souls, okay. The devil is a man, and his number, all right, and his number is 603 which is 666, all right, which is the universal product code number, and it's not by coincidence. These people, the elites, all right, that fund all of this money, the Illuminati, they are well aware of who they are, the part that they play when it comes to being the devil, of the role of the devil and Satan in the Holy Bible, okay? So, that number 666 was picked out and particularly for them to play that role according to the prophecies found written in the Holy Bible, in which a lot of people are ignorant of the Bible. So the elites, they can do that, man. They feel bold enough and comfortable enough and confident enough to, make those demonic numbers, which those numbers carry vibrations anyway, okay? But, those numbers on the left-hand side that deals with wickedness and what have you, the elites, they feel comfortable boldly making it that way, all right? The universal product code 666, okay, which is the number of the beast, all right? Like I said, they play on people's ignorance of the Bible. As long as you would keep pushing that plantation Christianity and keep people drunk off of that Babylonian juice and push that Jesus Christ narrative that he loves everyone and anybody can be saved as long as you call on that name, okay, then surely they're gonna have people fucking lost, all right? And that's why they can use the number 666, all right? If you can, if the spirit is on you enough to where you can break these codes and figure out what's what and who's who according to the Bible, right? The Lord has to be dealing with you on that level. You have to be spiritual, okay? And the elites will continue on playing on the ignorance or the darkness of the minds of these people, okay? So, 2026, right around the corner, a few hours left before the ball drop, and we got to remain in the spirit of prophecy, man. Okay, and a lot of people are gonna come to the realization that the great millstone Israelites is who the Lord is dealing with, man. A lot of people got bad things to say about us. Some people are, having a change of thought, and they re-examining themselves and apologizing and such. And as long as it's sincere, man. Because hey, we can't save you back here. The apostles can't save you, all right? And as long as your apologies are sincere, then as a brother, we have no choice but to forgive our brothers. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, man, just continue on pushing the word, man. We through the Spirit gave you the blueprint, told you what you had to do, brought forth to you prophecy. So continue on pushing prophecy. All right, so I'm going to end things on that note. Say shalom, Baba Rakim. Lord willing, I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.